So to get that perfect barbecue, you use wood. Are you sure it's safe? Whatever. We put the lighter fluid on, strike the match, and... Oh, should we call the fire department? That might be a good idea.
Welcome to the Barbecue Central Show, the show where we talk about all things that are important in the world of barbecue. From big-name interviews with competitors on the barbecue circuit, grill manufacturers and pit makers, to advice on cooking brisket and ribs. You'll find it all right here on the Barbecue Central Show. Your host, Greg Rempe, is a backyard barbecue and grilling fanatic and loves to talk about his passion, which many of us share together. You can learn more about barbecue and grilling by visiting the website, thebbqcentral.com. Now, let's get in the smoke. Here's your program host, Greg Rempe.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to another edition and late Barbecue Central Really Big Barbecue Show. Broadcasting live and direct from the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame city of Cleveland. I apologize for the late entre-nous. Got to add 5 lines. It's a business first, ladies and gentlemen. It's business first. Apologize. I don't even have my wits about me, coming in cold. Had to do a fresh system reboot, and it has been more or less a nightmare just for the last few minutes. So glad you've decided to hang with me here, gang. And we have a great show lined up for you, as always. Actually looking for my guy Heath Hall right now. And he's supposed to be joining us here. Don't usually have a first segment interview, but figured that he would be a good guy to get for some said reasons. Perhaps you've been following me on the Twitter, or you have been, then this is a reason why we're not talking to him right now. That's all right. That'll be rectified here in just a second. We'll be waiting for Heath Hall. Also, we have Jeff Stith coming up here next segment to talk about something that we don't normally get to talk about when it comes to the world of this show, I guess. The world of this show? That's the fact that in large fashion, a lot of things that happen in the world of barbecue and grilling are done with charity in mind. And Jeff Stith, certainly no better example of this than what took place last week. Of course, everybody is well aware of what went down in Joplin, Missouri, with the terrible tornadoes, extreme destruction that took place, loss of life, and so forth. And he's going to come on and talk about kind of, what they were able to spearhead and go down and do, and kind of a true form of what the barbecue and grilling community is all about. Lots of meals served, lots of people getting behind a great cause in helping people in need. And I want to make sure that Jeff has certainly enough time to get out what message that he wants to send, recount exactly what went down. And we'll look forward to that coming up in about 10 minutes from now. That's Jeff Stith, Big Bear Barbecue, if I'm saying that right. My sheet is gone, of course, so I don't have that. But Big Bear Barbecue, I believe he's the pit master of them, of that team, and they do very well. Let me turn that down because I'm listening to myself. Got to pop out the chat, holler out to Kevin Bevington, homebbq.com. What's up, buddy? Looking at you. We are doing the whole simulcasting on outdoorcookingchannel.com. So if you haven't stopped by, gotta stop by and see what's happening over there. Big stuff, live shows, and there's going to be some new stuff happening as well. Apologize if I'm sounding out of sorts here. I'm trying to chase down my man Heath from Pork Barrel Barbecue, and he says he's on, but I don't see you, buddy. I don't see you. Go on. Call in, buddy. Call in. Here we go. Area code 203. Is this Heath?
Yes, Heath.
Heath, Pork Barrel Barbecue. What's up, buddy?
Hey, not much, buddy. What's going on?
Not too much, Heath. I'm glad you've made time for the show tonight. And I just found out, I was going to bed last night and saw an email from you, kind of one of those newsletters like I put out each and every week, keeping you abreast of what's happening in the world of Pork Barrel Barbecue, like I keep people abreast of what's happening on BCRN. Big announcement. Big announcement, so allow me to roll the drum roll. Coming from Heath Hall, Pork Barrel Barbecue. Heath, give us the big announcement that just happened.
Well, we were pleased to announce the world's first barbecue fragrance.
Fragrance! Q. I mean, could it be a better suited name for this type of item?
I don't think so. I think we were looking for something that kind of had a fragrancy sound, a little French sounding, and Q, I think, nailed it. And it also, of course, nails the barbecue angle.
All right, so for people that are immediately skeptical here, Heath, this is the real deal. I mean, I actually put in a order today, and I'm waiting for it. This isn't something where I've just given you $25 and you're going to go make off like a bandit, right?
It is not. You actually, congratulations, were the very first person in the history of the world, as far as I know, to purchase a bottle of barbecue fragrance cologne.
Yeah! First, I've never been first at anything except hosting an incredibly popular internet radio show.
Yes, well, I mean, we will send you a gold star, but your shipment is in the mail, so look for it over the next couple days.
All right,
this
so
weekend's going to be good for you, is all I can say.
This has to be something that the people amongst the barbecue purists have been clamoring for. How long has this been in the works?
We came to the conclusion that the world needed something like this back in January, so we've been working on it about 6 months.
And how does one go about putting together a fragrance, let alone this is something that you're obviously bringing to the barbecue and grilling community, but how does one go about getting a fragrance down? How are you able to pick out, olfactory senses to tickle the, not taste buds, but tickle the senses?
Well, the first thing we started with is that, just a vision of a barbecue in the backyard, and you got people pulling into your driveway, you're smoking or grilling, and the first thing that you hear from them is, man, that smells good. And one of those first scents, smoke, meat, probably some sweetness from maybe the sugars and the rubs and the sauces cooking.
Right.
And so we went and found a couple of scent factories out there, some perfumiers, and talked to them, and we got a couple samples back that were, let's just say, not so good. And then we finally found a company that nailed it, we think. So you're going to smell at front of the smell a nice smoky flavor, and it's going to have some back notes of some spice and some sweetness. Or I'll just read to you what it says on the back.
Please.
I think it nails it down pretty good. An intoxicating bouquet of spices, smoke, meat, and sweet summer sweat.
Sweet summer sweat. Obviously something that sounds fantastic. Who is helping you bottle this?
Currently, you're talking to one of the bottlers. We actually were shipped all of the fragrance from our fragrance company, shipped bottles from the bottle company, and we're bottling it. So we're doing just about everything except standing in the facility making the cologne.
And this is something that you have, I'm guessing, zero experience doing.
Well, I spent 6 years studying filling bottles, but beyond that, that's about all I've got. Yeah, this is definitely
that's barbecue sauce
from us. We do have a lot of experience filling barbecue bottles, but no, this is something that what we really wanted was some kind of a product that no one else had that would just stand out, and the world would say, really? Is that true? Is that real? Which is, I believe your email was,
yes.
Is this real?
That's right.
And it is real, and, we wanted to have something that was unique so we could draw people in and really then, hopefully get them into the world of pork barrel barbecue sauces and rubs and get to really smell and taste and feel the real barbecue products that we bring.
Heath Hall joining us here from the show. PorkBarrelBBQ.com is his website. He's been on the show a number of times, just releasing a new fragrance for the barbecue and grilling world, and I'm sure to be consumed by the masses across the land, and it's called aptly Q. Is there a particular website that they can go to, Heath, to pick up a bottle or 10?
Yeah, there's a couple things that I'd love for folks to do. One, check out the website, which is www.porkbarrelbbq.com/Q. That's QUE. And when you go there, we've filmed 3 commercials. These commercials are spoofs off of several really popular fragrance commercials from the past, and one off of a Match.com commercial.
Mm-hmm.
We've got a little voting going on, see which one people think is their favorite, and if we sell 50 million bottles, then we're going to buy a spot on the Super Bowl and put that ad up. So help us sell 50 million bottles. Pick your favorite, and you'll see it on the Super Bowl coming up in January.
Over under, Heath. Over under for selling 50 million bottles of Q.
Well, we've got, I've had to hire security. We've got Ralph Lauren and Calvin Klein and Armani chasing us down everywhere for this top secret formula.
Of course.
And Macy's and Nordstrom's and all these department stores are just clamoring for a few 100,000 bottles. So, I'd say over under probably 1%.
1% sounds great. Sounds like this could actually happen. Do you have some big time interest? Are you using your Shark Tank contacts to help you get this through?
This is all Brett and I and our crazy and maybe deprived minds that put this together. We certainly are working with Barbara Corcoran from Shark Tank on some of the potential marketing sides. We had a couple interesting phone calls today from some of the larger potential TV shows that are interested in doing something with this, and hopefully we'll have some announcements on that pretty soon.
Wow, excellent. All right, this is Heath Hall again, and just announcing that Q is now on the market. If you are a barbecue guy and you've always wanted to have that scent hang around you, even during a day job if you have one, I know I do. I know Heath has something that he wants to smell like all the time and track the ladies, and perhaps if you're so inclined, the gentlemen as well. What's that smell? What's that odor? What's that just succulent smell coming off of you? Well, it's Q, ladies and gentlemen, and it's brought to you by the guys at Pork Barrel BBQ. Heath, one more time with the web address.
The web address is www.porkbarrelbbq.com/Q. And you can also follow all the interesting chatter on Twitter at QUE Cologne, so QUECOLGONE. And there's actually been some pretty funny stories already written. One today on the 5 fragrances that will make you gag, and we are proud to be one of those 5 already on day 1. So there's some pretty funny stories coming out all over the country, and I think as the week and weeks progress, we'll see some more of those funny things out there.
But the bottom line, Heath, this is something that I could wear to work, and I can smell. I'm not going to gross anybody out.
You can wear this to work. It is maybe not one of the top 2 or 3 choices that you would choose to wear to work, but it probably is the number 1 choice as far as if you want people to come to you and to ask you if you've just opened up your smoker and if you've brought meat into work.
All right. Well, I'm
certain you're going to smell a little smoky.
Certainly looking forward to putting that on my person and seeing how well it works. Again, Heath Hall joining us here on the show, always bringing something new and exciting to the world of barbecue and grilling. This one does not disappoint as well. It's Q, everybody. Heath, I appreciate the time tonight.
You bet. Let us know what you think when you get it.
Sure will. All right, buddy. Take care. It's Heath Hall. Q, I mean, what do you think, guys? You guys in? You're going to be buying some Q? I know I'm going to be getting some as well. Going to be trying out and seeing what it's all about. I've often wondered, how come there isn't a barbecue cologne? And the commercials are funny, Don. You're right. Gang, quick reminder here before we dash over and pick up Jeff Stith of Big Bear Barbecue. Or, I'm sorry, Big Creek Barbecue. I don't want to say Big Bear, but that could be something. One of the great sponsors of the show is Stephen DeFranco Jeweler, and he's located right here in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame city of Cleveland, Ohio. More specifically, an eastern suburb of Willoughby, and that's historic downtown Willoughby, by the way. But he's in the business district, but nevertheless, right off of Route 90. So if you're traveling to and fro, definitely want to stop by and see my good man, Stephen DeFranco. And right now, folks, they're offering a Father's Day. That's June 19th, a Father's Day special on Bulova Accutron watches. He wants any of you barbecue brothers to call in for 30% off, by the way, any Bulova Accutron watch. And he will go ahead and give you an extra $50 off if they say that you are one of my or one of Steve's barbecue brothers. And on top of all of that, you get free shipping. You get a free gift wrap because, sometimes it's difficult to do all of your tasks at once, and wrapping gifts takes quite a bit of time. I have purchased a number of items from Stephen DeFranco Jewelers here over the last year, and so they do a wonderful job, not only with customer service, and especially a lot of you guys aren't going to have access to driving out to Stephen DeFranco's and dealing with him personally like I do, but I'm a superstar and you're not. Dealing with him and his staff on the phone. Ask for Steve if you don't feel comfortable talking to anybody else and you're going to take advantage of this 30% off the Bulova Accutron watches. You can also find him on the website, which is the Stephen DeFranco Jewelers banner. Click on that and peruse the Accutron watches, the Bulova Accutrons. Pick out the one you like and know that you can take 30% right off the top and an additional $50 if you just mention me or you mention Steve and say Barbecue Brother. Same deal applies for all females as well. If you see a watch you like, ladies, he'll take 30% off any Bulova Accutron watch that you like as well. And again, it's free shipping, free gift wrapping, free batteries for life. Also, how about this? Free engraving, free watch polishing. Oh, you're damn right. You're going to get all of that. Service to the stars. All right, we're going to step away really quick, and when we come back, we will have Jeff Stith from Big Creek Barbecue talking about Joplin. Stand by.
Broadcasting live from the Barbecue Central Radio Network studios in Cleveland, Ohio. You're listening to the Barbecue Central Radio Show. Once again, here's your host, Greg Rempe.
Just like that, we're back. Didn't have time in the open to tell you about the revamp of the show spots, but what can I tell you? Things happen. Thanks again to Heath Hall for coming on and talking about Q, the first barbecue fragrance ever in the face of the earth. I was the first one to get it, so get a gold star, he said. I'll have you know that. All right, let's go ahead and race over to the phones, pick up friend of the show, pitmaster of Big Creek Barbecue, Jeff Stith. Jeff, how are you, buddy? Jeff, you there? Hello?
Get that free stuff out of here.
All right, sir. All right, let's see. Where did that go? Pull up this thing. This is very bad on my part. I completely apologize for the blunder. Let's go to the 816. See how we do here. We're calling in to Jeff Stith, by the way, if you didn't know what was going on. Thanks for everybody hanging through here. Pork Barrel Barbecue now in the chat room pimping it out, as it were.
Hello?
Jeff.
Yes.
Greg from Barbecue Central Radio Show. You're live, buddy.
Hey, Greg.
A couple minutes late. I apologize. Had a day job and couldn't get away from it today. I apologize.
I hear you. I barely got home from my day job.
I hear you. First and foremost, and this certainly pales into comparison to what we're about to talk about, did you know that Pork Barrel Barbecue has released the very first fragrance that has to do with barbecue and grilling called Q? What are your thoughts, and will you buy it?
You know, my wife is already begging for it, so...
Really?
I may have to... Yeah, she heard it, and she wants a bottle, so sure, I'll buy it.
For you to wear, right? Or is it going to be for her, or for both?
You know, I just can't get enough of the smell of barbecue, so probably both.
That's right. You're damn right. You need to smell like it 24/7, especially when you're pitmaster of one of the top teams out there in the KCBS circuit. That's my guest, Jeff Stith from Big Creek Barbecue. All right, Jeff, I mentioned briefly in the open as I was rushed that sometimes we lose sight of the fact that a lot of what barbecue has been based on over many, many years, especially in competitions, and a lot of teams will only take part in competitions if what they're going to win or if they're able to raise money is going back to some type of charity. Certainly no different than kind of what you and a bunch of people were able to undertake here a couple weeks ago down in Joplin. So first of all, if we could, a little bit about, you know, the tornado, the structure damage, and everything that you guys saw. Where did the impetus come to kind of drive down there and help out?
Well, I guess it started on Sunday night after it happened. I've got some family in the Joplin area that I was concerned about, and was up till about 2 a.m. trying to find out what their situation was. They had all turned about to be okay, thankfully. The next morning, I was just thinking, there ought to be something that we can do. The way that the barbecue family cares about everyone, and the way that we're ready to, spring into action to help folks. Stan Hayes, who is with County Line Smokers, also here in Pleasant Hill, he puts on the contest with me here in town, and he and I spoke on the phone that morning on the way to work and said, we got to do something. So he was going to immediately make some phone calls to his employer, Farmers, and see if we could get in, next to them where they were set up in town. And I called and spoke with Carolyn Wells at KCBS and see if she could put me in contact with some folks at Sam's Club to maybe get some donations going. And that's just kind of how the ball got started.
All right, so when you actually get down there, I'm sorry, go ahead, Jeff.
Well, I was just going to say we put it on Facebook that we were going to do this on Monday night, and by Tuesday we had people lined up all over the place from I think we ended up having 8 states, represented, and people, cook teams that want to come and help us out.
So as you get down there and you start to make the trip down, obviously at some point you're coming into what is normal viewing to something that is completely, probably the likes that many of us have either never seen, probably will see, the amount of damage, devastation. What were your initial thoughts as you kind of rolled up onto the scene?
Our site was on the north edge of all the damage, and rode down with a couple friends to help Lee Keith from Sloppy the Backwoods Smokers. Rolled down there to help him cover his aunt's roof with a tarp that had a board come through it, and it was just, we weren't even in the worst area there, and it was just more than I could comprehend. The next day, when we drove some meals around and into some shelters, I went down towards where the hospital was and so forth. And I guess the way I describe it to people is you've got to see, what's on TV, whatever you think of that, multiply it by 20, 30 times. You're standing there and you look around you 360 degrees and there's nothing but devastation. It's a completely hopeless feeling.
So how do you guys set up? Where do you get to kind of stage off? How many people showed up? How many cookers are showing up? How are you getting food in there? It had to be a tremendous undertaking.
Right. And you know what? To this day, I don't know how it all happened, other than the goodness of people's hearts. We had delivery trucks showing up and saying, hey, I'm supposed to drop this off here, and it might be a pallet of charcoal or what have you, and, a pallet of water and so forth. But, Sam's Club, Bill Dietz with Sam's Club was very instrumental in helping us and very, very, giving in what they were able to donate to us. And we ended up getting over 7,000 pounds of pork, and various supplies from Sam's Club. And that we just go pick up 1,000 pounds at a time. They donated a refrigerated truck that we could sit on site to keep all of our cold items in, and a regular truck to keep our regular supplies in. We got OK Foods out of Fort Smith, Arkansas. Excuse me. Showed up with a semi-load of 50,000 pounds of chicken.
Wow.
And so, we had the basics there. We had, a lot of folks had donated some rub. We got, and I'm just, I hate to leave anybody at all out, but there's just, tons of teams and barbecue companies that donated, rub and sauce. I know we had Butchers and Cosmos and Head Country in Oklahoma, and we had Stubbs and Slabs.com and Plowboys and Oklahoma Joe's, and then the folks from Taylor Smokehouse and Tennessee came up with a bunch more rubs and the largest smoker I'd ever seen in my life. It was just amazing how it all came together and the donations that started rolling in.
Really, like some of the top teams in KCBS and in competition barbecue that you just named off, Jeff. And we're talking with Jeff Stith from Big Creek Barbecue, talking about the relief effort that they put on down in Joplin, Missouri after the tornado. Everybody just kind of seamlessly work together, or is it kind of an effort to make sure that you're coordinating everybody in the places that they need to go?
Well, it ended up being pretty seamless, but the reason it did is Will Cleaver from Sticks and Chicks Barbecue. In his real life day job, he's a project manager, and he was perfect to come in and ramrod the scene there and just make sure that everything was, everything ran smoothly. We had Randy Heimgardner from Half Sauce at Lake of the Ozarks, gave up a good week and a half of his time, including Memorial Day weekend, at his restaurant at Lake of the Ozarks to come and help in the relief effort. And so, those two guys kind of headed the show on the ground. And then the teams came in and we estimate between 175 and 225 different folks came in from different teams to help out. And we'll eventually all have those on our website. So,
how long were you guys down there for, Jeff?
We arrived, we had the conversation on Monday morning. Stan got down there Monday afternoon, and I got down there Tuesday about lunchtime. Most of us, we had kind of I'm not sure how many people were down there the second week, but we had almost everyone was there, on, say, Tuesday, Wednesday through Saturday, Sunday time period. And then we had, some other folks come in and help out as well, that couldn't make it the previous week, that came in and donated their time and efforts on the following week. And we ended up pulling out of there, last Saturday morning. So last Friday night, I believe it's the 3rd, was the last meals that we served.
All right. So how many cookers do you think you could account for while you were down there?
Cookers as in teams, or
no, number of actual cooking units.
Oh, cooking. Okay. I'm just right off the top of my head, I would say 15 to 20 at any one time.
And then you're just throwing them full of either pork or chicken and just kind of cooking them off. And when they're finished, were you guys designated as some type of area where you could go get food, or were you designated to go deliver to areas? How is the delivery portion set up?
Well, what happened was one of the local folks down there had printed off a copy from the internet of all the shelters in the area. And so my first day down there, I went and made contact with who was heading these shelters, let them know who we were, what we were doing, and asked if we could be of assistance. And we ended up getting maybe 4 or 5 shelters that we were delivering to at any one time, including the St. John's Hospital Triage Center at the Memorial Building. They had something set up there where we were we even took them food for 200 people at midnight one night.
Wow.
So, we were doing that. We also delivered to the Humane Society. They were overrun with pets that had been brought in, that were rescued from the rubble and just wandered around town and so forth. And they had probably 100 volunteers there helping take care of them, clean up the firm, help with injuries and so forth, and trying to hook them back up with our owners. So we were feeding the folks at the Humane Society. We also got associated with the Salvation Army, and we were giving them about 1,500 meals per day, with huge assistance from the folks at the Golden Corral in Joplin. Of course, with their boil order going on, the restaurants were pretty much all closed, and so they came out and volunteered their time several days and helped, pull pork and make sandwiches and put sauce in individual containers, and were just invaluable help there. And then additionally, we had several volunteers who would go into the hardest hit areas with food in their cars. Everybody had their Cambros and so forth, and they'd go into the areas with hot food and cold water and chips and fruit. And then towards the end of the week, the first week, we had vegetables that were starting to come in as well. So we were actually delivering to families at their home sites, and many of them, had lost almost everything. They didn't have, most people didn't have electricity. So it was important that they get a hot meal, and that's kind of what we strive to provide.
Obviously you're not there. You're doing a selfless act. You're not looking for people to give you that pat on the back. You're out there trying to help fellow man, which is certainly commendable with everybody else down there. But what was kind of the reaction that you were getting as you were dropping off meals and people were kind of eating that barbecue, probably getting to feel like at least something is normal in that life that had been turned upside down?
Yeah, you see, Greg, now you're going to get in the part that's going to get me a little emotional here, because that was the tough part of it. We all the volunteers have stories. I think everybody went down looking to help out and serve some barbecue and do a good thing for the city of Joplin. And I don't think any of us realized that we were going to come out of there with life-changing stories and experiences and so forth. And it was, it's no exaggeration at all to say that, and I know I heard it from many, many people down there that our lives are changed because of what we saw and the stories we heard and just, the compassion you feel for the folks down there. It's just, we had everything. We had, the first day I was down there, a lady came up and she got some barbecue from Eric from Ribs for You. He had some of the first food ready to go, and when I was standing there, and I'd been there 30 minutes, and he handed the sandwiches, and she said, "God bless you," and turned around, and she had tears streaming down her face. And, we knew it was going to be a very emotional week at that point. So, but that's just, we saw kids that the only clothes they had, one kid was a Halloween costume, and multiple times we saw kids that had shoes that were 2 or 3 sizes too little, but that's all they could find. And, it was just very, very emotional week for all of us, our 12 days.
Jeff Stith joining us here on the show, pitmaster of Big Creek Barbecue, kind of recounting his time down in Joplin, Missouri. Was this done was this just you and Stan basically, or was this done under, I'd seen Cooker's Care getting tossed around? Is that kind of all-inclusive thing?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we went down there, and when we first got this started, we had no idea, what we were getting into. Obviously, I told Carolyn Wells I thought we could serve 4,000 meals in a week down there, and she said something like to the effect of, "Are you sure? I know we didn't do that many down in Alabama when they were working down there." And I said, "Well, I think so." And we ended up going way, way, way beyond that. So we still kind of laugh about my conversation with Carolyn, but we didn't know what was going to happen with it. We talked to Craig Kidwell. I talked to Craig Kidwell from Cooker's Care quite often in the day or so, 24, 36 hours before I got down there. And then after I was down there, and it kind of started out as we wanted to involve Cooker's Care, obviously, and Cooker's Care was very, very helpful in getting us going on this. And I got to give a shout out to Jerry Benham. She was instrumental in getting it set up where they could start collecting donations for us, and they'd run and get things from the store and had the Sam's Club for us, and it was just phenomenal what all they did, and Cooker's Care really came through to help out. But as the week kind of evolved, Stan and Will and I started talking about the what ifs, and we saw how the successes and how this was going, and it was actually working, and we were serving more people food than we ever thought we would when we first went down there. And we thought, what if we use this as a model for something going forward into the future? And so we started talking about setting up a 501c3 not-for-profit organization, and to do this nationwide in the event of natural disasters. There's various reasons why it works for us as a barbecue community, and I think first and foremost is how we, like I said earlier, how we like to help people. And the second thing that I think really makes us the right group of people to do this kind of a project is, barbecue folks are ready to roll. They've got, we've got our stuff in our vehicles and our trailers, and we all have catering equipment and Cambros and smokers that, most times don't need electricity and generators and all sorts of things that make us, an effective first response team as far as providing hot meals to people in need in times of natural disasters. So, the more we got to thinking about it, the more this seemed like a great idea. So we've come a long way since then, and we've actually started putting some things together.
Jeff Stith joining us here on the show. Jeff, do you mind if I hold you over during the break here, and we can kind of finish up here, and then we can just talk about some lighter barbecue stuff in general?
Absolutely.
All right, you go ahead and hang out for about 2 minutes and 54 seconds. We're talking with Jeff Stiff. He's a pitmaster of Big Creek Barbecue, and I believe the website is bigcreekbbq.com, but we'll go ahead and confirm that with him after we get out of the break here. And he's recounting what's happened in Joplin and his time helping everybody in need out there. And this is, Instant Chat is going crazy right now with how good of a guy Jeff is. And quite frankly, that goes for everybody that actually showed up down there. Folks, quick reminder about Fred's Music and BBQ.com. Fred has been a longtime sponsor of the show. One of the, not the first one, but probably second or third in line, and has been on ever since. So we're in our third year now. And he has a new product out that he wants me to tell you about, and it's the Guitar Player's Sweet and Tangy Secret Sauce. It's very sweet, but it's got that tang. Good results so far from competitions as well, and the judges are digging the very sweet stuff, blah, blah, blah. But look, here's what the deal is. The secret of this sauce is the fact that it has the same spice block that is in the original Smokin' Guitar Player's rub. So if you're a fan of the rub, and quite frankly, from what I have been able to ascertain from talking with various pitmasters across the country, that if you're going to use a rub and a sauce, you want to be able to have those flavors kind of work together and meld together to provide a quality overall flavor profile for the judges to hunker down on and evaluate your food. So here you have a sauce that is mixed with the same spice block as the rub. So if you're using the rub, you're definitely going to want to use the sauce because they're going to work very well together. Finish with the sauce, you have the same exact flavor, the same spice package for a consistent flavor profile all the way through. And as we all know in competition, consistency is key. This is the only rub and sauce on the market that's made like this, using the rub in the sauce, so far as Fred knows. Also, he's gone ahead and launched Tenderness B and Tenderness P. These are for brisket and pork, obviously B and P. This is an injection for texture and an injection for moisture. Fred actually went out, hired a food scientist, and cloned some of the most popular injections out there. And as you all know, Fred makes a quality product all the way through. Mix it in with some apple juice. Go ahead and inject it. And you know how to inject if you guys are out there injecting. Also, more barbecue-y rubs available at TastyLicksBBQ.com. There's the Ribbit Rub. You have Black Bart's Brisket Rub, Red Eye Meat Rub. He's got plenty. My favorite is the Veggie Blend Rub. It's got a great garlic flavor. Fred's Music and BBQ.com is the website, trusted online retailer and supporter of the show. Stick around. We're going to be coming right back with Jeff Stiff.
Get in the smoke. Call 877-448-0433 to get on the air. Now, here's your host, Greg Rempe.
All right, welcome back. 20 minutes till the top of the hour. We're talking with Jeff Stiff from Big Creek Barbecue. Jeff, thanks for letting me flap my gums there for a minute for a sponsor. And we're going to kind of close out the Joplin talk here and maybe lighten it up a little bit just with some more barbecue talk. So as you kind of look back now, since you've been home and reviewed, all the time you spent down in Joplin, everything that you see, what are some of your summatory thoughts about the whole experience for you?
Well, first of all, I hate to have you keep pushing, my name. I know I'm always talking to you and all, but there were so many great people down there that came through and helped out.
Yep.
And so many people that couldn't be there that donated money and so forth. So I just want to, again, say thank you to everybody that came out there. Very, very awesome. And you know what? I wasn't surprised a bit from this community of barbecue people. So, the only credit I can take is Stan and I starting, calling each other on Monday morning. Other than that, it was all these other folks that came together and did this. So, we're just appreciative of that. What we take forward from this, and our thoughts on this, a lot of people ask us, man, you guys are not getting any sleep. You're just going day after day. How are you doing this? And basically, our compassion for our neighbors was part of it. And the other thing is basically, Joplin Joplin was strong. Joplin stood tall, and I think that caused us to want to be that way as well. Very, very strong civic spirit in town. Everybody pulled together. We had multiple Joplin residents who, besides the Golden Corral crew that came out and helped out, we had a couple guys down there that we got to know, Frank and Frank, two good friends and two great guys. They make I think they make drum smokers, UDSs, and fantastic guys. They came out, and even though they lost almost everything they had, they came out and helped us and bonded with us as barbecuers, and it was fantastic. They're going to be at the Lenexa barbecue contest with Sticks and Chicks. So if you're out if you happen to be in Lenexa, Kansas at that contest here in a couple of weeks, stop by and Sticks and Chicks and thank Will and visit with Frank and see hear their story. Amazing guys. It's just like I said, it's a very rewarding experience for all of us, life changing, and we've taken upon ourselves to do this new organization. It's going to be called Operation Barbecue Relief. You may see it referred to as OBR, and for short. We have a website at operationbbqrelief.org where folks can go and find out more about what we're doing. It'll be the site's already up. It'll be obviously things will be added to as we go along. You can donate funds to help us in our cause. You can or to go to Joplin. We're still planning fundraisers for Joplin as well. But our goal in this is to have team leaders in every part of the United States. So if you're out there and you're interested in being involved, go to the website, let us know how that you're interested. We want to have people ready to mobilize in the event of a natural disaster, whether it be a hurricane, a flood, more tornadoes, wildfires, earthquakes, anything like that we can help out with. That's what our goal is, and we're going to take this national. And we're going to go big. So we feel like not only was this a great experience for all of us who are involved, but we think that anybody else who gets involved in a similar type of a disaster would find it one of the most rewarding things you've ever done in your life, as we do. And it's just something that we want to perpetuate and keep going forward and use what we did as a model to take it nationwide in disasters.
Jeff Stith joining us here on the show. OperationBBQRelief.org is the web address if you want to check that out and help out or donate, do whatever you want to do. Become a century in your neck of the woods, as Jeff said, in case something is going to happen around your area. You can certainly help out. OperationBBQRelief.org. Jeff, the resiliency of the town was still strong, and they're ready to press forward then.
Absolutely.
All right. So great work there, obviously. I mean, you're getting a ton of love here in the instant chat. And as you said, there was a lot of other people down there aside from yourself, but obviously the one kind of talking to me tonight for the voice of everybody. So we certainly thank them all and yourself for everything that you did down there, showing compassion for your fellow human being. Jeff, we kind of turned tables here a little bit. Obviously, you're a competitive barbecuer, a pitmaster of Big Creek Barbecue. How is the competition season working for you right now?
Well, we're kind of taking a break after last year. We worked hard last year, and we're just absolutely, honored to be in the, with a group of people that we were with, and maybe once in a lifetime thing for us. But this year we're kind of taking it a little bit easy. We're cutting back on a number of competitions we're doing. We've only done 4 so far. We got one coming up here in a couple weeks down in Seymour, Missouri. April Hepco with puts on Rockin' Freedom Barbecue down there. Has a great contest. We're going to go down and cook in that one. We just got back from South Dakota last weekend up at Huron, South Dakota, and the folks up there do a great job as well. So, we're just taking it easy, and we're doing okay, and we're taking time to enjoy the barbecue a little bit more this year, I think.
Jeff Stith was obviously a hopeful. You had been on the show at least once before when you were making a BOD run. Was it last year? I know it was 2 years ago, but I don't remember if you were trying to do it again. Yeah, absolutely. So, as you kind of see things, people have been voted in and changes have been made here or there, perhaps changes have not been made. What's your overall take right now of KCBS, where it sits? Obviously, you were very vocal when you were making a run that there were some changes that needed to be made. Where are you sitting with it right now?
Man, Craig, you know how to put a guy on the spot, don't you?
That's what I'm here for.
You know what? No, I like the direction we're heading. I mean, obviously, there's a lot of work to do. I think Candy Weaver has it going in the right direction. You know what? I've never not been proud to be a member of KCBS, no matter what the situation is. So I think it's a fantastic organization, and like I said during the campaign, we know hundreds and hundreds of people that we call friends that if it wasn't for Carolyn and Gary Wells, we wouldn't know. I can never fault the organization for that.
Jeff Stith joining us here on the show, pitmaster of Big Creek Barbecue. Jeff, I'm going to have Amy Mills on here in the second hour. We're going to talk a little bit of television. Certainly you've seen barbecue grow exponentially, especially over the last 4, 5, 6 years. It's coming on television more and more. Are you a watcher of the barbecue shows that make it to television, or do you not get too interested in those?
I watch them all. And I think, regardless of the show, and I know there's a lot of opinions out there about them, but I think all publicity for barbecue is good. I mean, especially, they're getting onto CBS and so forth. And I think, when you get into the mainstream, I think you're going to get more and more people that are watching it. They're going to get more interested in it. They're going to want to come out and see folks like us who are out there competing. Ask us questions and maybe gain a few tips here and there. And you know what? That's what causes sponsors to want to sponsor barbecue contests. That's what causes prize purses to get bigger. And that's what causes a contest to grow. And I just think it's a great thing. So, yeah, I any and all barbecue competitions and shows on the air, I'm good with.
I was talking with, I hate to drop names, but I was talking with Emmy Award-winning producer John Marcus a couple weeks ago about the show, Ultimate Barbecue Showdown, that aired last week. And, I was wondering, and I asked him, I said, look, is this just a thing where maybe in our minds we think it's bigger and more exciting than it is? It's just never going to make it onto television. And he kind of relented a little bit to a certain degree, saying that, when you see it on television, there is going to be more of that freak show factor. Taking that into account, is it always, if it has barbecue on and there are some people we know, it's always good to have on television? Or is there a point where just because it says barbecue, it's really not representing what's actually going on during the weekends?
Well, of course, I'd always like to see. I love the format of the first season of Pitmasters. I thought it was great. But then again, I'm a competitor. I'm looking at it from that standpoint. What the public likes and what the public, the general public sees and likes. I don't know. I think it's really hard for me to say because I am so passionate about barbecue and about competition barbecue. I'll watch anything that's got to do with barbecue on TV. So I don't know that I'm the right person to answer that question because of the a little bit of the skewed point of view, I guess.
So you're going to watch it regardless if it's on. You're just that kind of guy.
Oh, sure.
All right.
Absolutely.
That's great. And I meant to confirm with you, it's BigCreekBBQ.com for your website, right, Jeff?
Yeah, that's my team website, correct.
All right, team website. We're talking with Jeff Stith, pitmaster of Big Creek Barbecue, and we were recounting his whole experience down in Joplin, which was really kind of the emphasis on what I wanted to do with Jeff tonight, and we're just having a little fun there for the last few minutes. Jeff, anything else you want to get out there before I turn you loose?
Just again, I would encourage everybody, if you get the opportunity to go to OperationBBQRelief.org, check it out, and if you're able, we'd appreciate any and all volunteers, donations, whatever you can do to help out and get involved. Like I said, we want this to be big, and we want this to be something that basically when we go into a community and we leave, we want the community to be able to say without a doubt that we made a difference and that we had compassion. We had, we offered friendship and hope to their citizens, and I think that's something that we all would be good to get involved with.
He's Jeff Stiff. Jeff, buddy, I really appreciate you coming on tonight and sharing your stories. Thanks so much.
All right. Thank you, Greg.
All right. Take care. There he is, Jeff Stiff. Big Creek Barbecue. Again, I hear what he was saying. Jeff's a very humble guy, very soft-spoken. He's not going to, go ahead and honk his own horn. But I do want to give him some special attention because it was him and Stan that were the ones that kind of brainchild this whole thing. But not to even downplay anything. The people, the 125 or 150 people that he said had showed up during the course of that whole time that they were down there, each and every person deserves a name mentioned here on the show. It needs to be written about in the KCBS Bullsheet, wherever publications are written about barbecue and grilling. Those people need to be named and need to be recognized, and we certainly appreciate everything that they did. The website, once again, for Operation Barbecue Relief is operationbbqrelief.org. That's operationbbqrelief.org. Jeff's team website, Big Creek, am I saying that right? Yeah, bigcreekbbq.com. Thanks again to Jeff Stiff. Again, quick reminder about the longest-running sponsor of the show. Perhaps you've heard of them. Little company called the Barbecue Guru. Oh, yeah. First sponsor ever of the live show. Longtime sponsor of just the podcast. Remember, folks, this show used to just be like a pre-recorded thing that made its way to iTunes for like 2 years before I sacked up and went live. These guys, look, some of us are business people. We have a day job, and we are also barbecue purists at heart. So we always want to have the barbecue. We don't have the ability to just stay home all day long and stuff our fat faces with pork and beef and chicken and whatever the case may be. But if you have a cooker and you want to have a brisket for dinner after you get your fanny off to work, you're like, man, I'm never going to be able to keep my pit at the right temperature. Don't worry about that, because the good folks over at the Barbecue Guru have you covered all the way around. They have 4 different pit temperature control devices, 4 different ones, for crying out loud. They can fit any level of price point that you're looking at. They can fit all cookers. If you want to be able to walk 600 feet away from your cooker and be able to monitor its temperature and then make adjustments while you're talking to your neighbor, you can do that. That's the Procom 4 wireless unit. They have the DigiQ 2. They have the iQ. They have that Procom 4. I mean, you name it, they have it. And why would you go anywhere else? Yeah, I know people on the West Coast have this big tech guy out there, and he sells his pit temperature control devices too. Forget about it. These are the guys that originated it, for crying out loud, and you find them at thebbqguru.com. Also, they are carrying one of the best lump charcoals out there, wicked good charcoal. They also carry Blues Hog sauces. They carry Head Country sauces. They got the slabs and the Dizzy Pig rubs. Really, when you think about it, not only can you get a really good pit temperature control device, it's not even really good, just the best, for crying out loud. You can also get charcoal to keep your cooker fired. You can also get rubs and sauces to go all with your preparation. They carry a number of products out there that are going to make, and I know I say it all the time, your barbecue and grilling life easier, because that's what they're there for. And they're selling their championship award-winning cooker that they use themselves at competitions. They took reserve grand champion at last year's Jack Daniels, for crying out loud. It's tested over and over again. They win with these things. They use their pit temperature control devices. They use their cookers, for crying out loud. Forget about it. It's thebbqguru.com. It's also 800-288-GURU. That's the good folks over at the Barbecue Guru. And the Onyx oven, my friends, is lightweight. It's fuel efficient, and most importantly, it's accurate. So if you want a pit temperature control device so you can go put on a brisket, leave for work, and know that the pit temperature is going to remain the same, it's not going to overcook because you have the ramp mode, then it's the folks at the Barbecue Guru that you want to call first. That's 800-288-GURU or thebbqguru.com. We're going to wrap up right after this. Stick around. We'll be right back.
Big name interviews, advice on cooking brisket and ribs, and the only host willing to share his honest opinion on all things important in the world of barbecue. It's the Barbecue Central Show.
All right, 2 minutes till the top of the hour. Right now, instant feedback. Good or bad, not that it matters because it's my show, good or bad as far as the commercial break spots? What do you think? One guy gets a spotlight on him, and I bet your fannies aren't leaving the seats. You know what I'm talking about. Thanks again, gang, to Jeff Stiff from Big Creek Barbecue. Again, his team website is bigcreekbbq.com, or sorry, bigcreekbbq.com. But the website that we want to get out there, OperationBBQRelief.org. Sometimes people don't have the forethought and the wherewithal to be able to put something like this together, but now something is in place. So if you want to go ahead and take part, if you want to sign up wherever your particular region of the country is, then go to OperationBBQRelief.org and start signing up. You can be a commander, a general, a lieutenant, a sergeant, if you will, a private first-class barbecuer. So if something happens in your neck of the woods, you will be able to mobilize and help out a community in need. I mean, it doesn't get any better than that in my estimation. So thanks to Jeff Stiff for doing that. Also, his partner in crime there, Stan Hayes, for masterminding this whole deal. And again, many thanks to all of the cookers that went out there and helped feed what had to have been one of the most egregious and just terrible scenes to see. I've never seen what it looks like to go through a tornado-ridden area. I see it on television only, but to see it firsthand and then to have Jeff kind of recount those stories about people coming up to them and showing how grateful they are. Yeah, look, man, that's emotional stuff, and I really have to give a lot of credit to Jeff for coming on and actually talking about that and then actually keeping it together from a talking standpoint. So again, big thanks to Stan, big thanks to Jeff for coming on tonight and talking about it from Big Creek Barbecue and all the cookers that made it out there to help out Joplin. That was certainly awesome. And again, we can't thank you enough. You're getting lit up all over the place with instant message love from the people that are watching the show here tonight. All right, we are going to go ahead and step away real quick as we reload for the second hour. Amy Mills is going to be coming on. We're going to be talking barbecue with her, some TV. I did a lot of prep work for her as well. So stay tuned for some what is to be great conversation, I hope. Again, you can find Jeff Stiff at bigcreekbbq.com. You can also help out. OperationBBQRelief.org. Going to be a new 501c3 organization ready to mobilize and help people in need from natural disaster. OperationBBQRelief.org. Be the first one to sign up. Say you did it because you heard the show. I'll give you a free prize. I got free prizes out the wazoo over here. And again, that's OperationBBQRelief.org. Don't forget, first segment guest was Heath Hall from Pork Barrel Barbecue. What? Yeah, we were talking about the fragrance of Q. Smells like sweet and heat and sweat. Can't wait. I was the first one that put in an order, for crying out loud. I did. That's right. Coming up at the second hour, Don, after we get done talking with Amy, we're going to be giving away prizes. We have rooftop barbecue sauce. We also have stuff from Yoder Smoky Mountain Barbecue. I'm going to reload. You stick around.
Understand my intention.
Happy to have you aboard here for the Really Big Barbecue Show.
We cook because we have to, and we grill because we want to.
Fine, how's it going?
You have a great show. I'm a big fan. So what seems to be the problem here? This man looks like he's dead, and he's in the crackle.
Charbono! It's all about the Charbono, dude!
Succulent fish! What?
He ate 54 wieners.
But listen, Lavernius, shake a face.
I'm shaking like a dog shit peach seeds.
You could use it to fight off creeping marauders looking to take your steaks off your grills.
I just like being anywhere with Junior, Senior, and Diva.
Sounds like a whole like a movie.
Wow. Yeah, really. Keep it hot, keep it clean, keep it lubricated.
We have top men working on it right now. Who? Top men.
And we are in the second hour, just like that, ladies and gentlemen. Doesn't get any better. Yeah! 877-448-0433 is the toll-free number. I didn't give you that at the top like I usually do. Greg at thebbqcentralshow.com is the email address. Maybe you want to shoot me an email. Feel free. I'll read them right on the air. I don't even think about it. Craig Goldwyn, a meathead, has been going back and forth with me today about stuff that I'm not even going to get into yet. Wait for him. I believe he's coming on next week where we're going to be arguing about something insignificant. Did it again. Are you kidding me? How does that always happen? How come nobody in the instant chat knows what's going to happen and say, look, make sure you take it off the queue. Make sure you take it off the queue. But it never happens. They always have to have the Lust for Life come in. Meathead is going to be going round and round with me. I believe our topic next show is... What do they call that? It sounds French, and, look, I'm not a hater of anybody, but I'm not a fan of the French. So, what do they call that when you drop meat in hot water? Sous vide or sous vice or whatever. We're going to talk about steak, is basically what we're going to be talking about. That's going to be the topic for discussion. You recall last time it was hamburgers last month. Month before that, I know. Month before that, we talked about Schweens, wieners, and then we were debating whether or not barbecue should be kept under the same umbrella as grilling, if the two are the same. Craig was making the point that grilling falls under the umbrella. I kept maintaining that these are two different cooking styles, and neither the twain shall meet. If you're saying you're grilling at a barbecue or barbecuing at a grill, we're going to sit down, meet on the street, and we're going to fist fight because I'm right and you're wrong. Punk. So take that and put that in your pipe and smoke it, as old ladies like to say, to get their point across. All right, as promised, joining me now to talk a little about all things really related to the world of barbecue and grilling. She was a judge on the Best in Smoke TV show. She was also part, she's not even also, but she is also part of the On-Q consulting firm, 17th Street Barbecue, Memphis Championship Barbecue Restaurants. You're damn right. It's first time guest to the show, and I'm honored to say that is Amy Mills. Amy, welcome to the show. How are you?
Thank you so much for having me. I'm fabulous. Thank you. And you?
I'm doing very well, Amy. Thanks for asking. I didn't know if you noticed, and I'm probably putting you on the spot here, but what do you think the percentage of chance that Mike Mills will be receiving the newest scent from Pork Barrel Barbecue called Q for Father's Day?
Well, I really have no idea. He wears Essence of Pork every day. That's his scent of choice. I'm not sure if he's even seen that yet. He's been on the road all day heading to New York for the Big Apple Barbecue Block Party. Oh, that's certainly a great event. One that I actually didn't even prep for, but now that you've mentioned it, Amy, for the people that aren't familiar with that, a lot of people think it's a competition or, it's some type of a demo event. Your dad has been doing that for years. Obviously, you've been out there, too, because you take a lot of great pictures that you share via Twitter and Facebook. But for the people that aren't aware of it and haven't been out to it, tell us what the block party is all about and what one could expect if they were going to attend. Oh, absolutely. It's a fabulous event. The block party is really a celebration of regional American barbecue. It is not a competition. It's not something you can apply to be part of. People are chosen very specifically because of the type of barbecue they do or the region they represent. And one of the factors to this is that you have to really be able to produce 6,000 plus portions of barbecue over the 2-day period. And there are a lot of fabulous restaurants out there who don't really have the equipment or ability to travel and put that type of a show on. It's a fundraiser. We do not get any of the money from this. Each pitmaster sells one protein and one side dish, and all of the proceeds go to the Madison Square Park Conservancy. So it's all for charity, and it's a fabulous fundraiser that's the brainchild of Danny Meyer, who is the head of Union Square Hospitality Group and Blue Smoke.
Now, when you're picking the protein, you're picking the side dish, is it assigned to you, or are you allowed to pick which one you want to do?
Well, we are one of the 6 founding pitmasters. My dad is a partner in Blue Smoke, and he helped start the block party 9 years ago because it's 9th year. And people really sometimes there's a hole that needs to be filled. Most people are cooking what they're famous for. So, we do baby back ribs and baked beans. Those are two things that people look forward to. I know from our experience at other events, if we try to change up something, people will say, "Oh, I thought you were bringing the ribs."
Right.
So we're doing what people want us to do.
That's going to be a fabulous event, a Big Apple block party right down there in New York City. So if you have a chance to have occasion to get out there, I mean, you really got to go early because it's a jam-packed event, let's say.
It is. It's actually, there'll be about 130,000, 140,000 people.
Wow.
It grows by leaps and bounds each year. And smart people come with a group and split up. Everybody stands in a different line, and then they meet in the park with all of the goods. There's also a Fast Pass program. It's kind of like going on the Fast Lane at Disney World.
Right.
And that means that you buy a pass with $100 worth of punches. It's $125 for the pass, and you can go on an inside lane around the park. Only a certain number of those are sold. So those have been sold out for a little while now.
Sounds like a fabulous time. Got to get out there one time so I can hang with all the barbecue elite. And, of course, I got to hang glad with my man, John Marcus. Okay, before we get into all of this tonight, Amy, that I've decided to lay out that you have no idea what we're talking about, for the people that don't know, there you go. For the people that don't know, Amy Mills, how about a little background about yourself? And, I mean, this is going to seem like the lamest question in the whole world, but how you kind of get into the whole world of barbecue.
Okay. Well, I'm the daughter of Mike Mills, who is somewhat known in the world of barbecue. And I have always, I grew up in barbecue. I moved away from home. I did other things, mostly marketing, PR, and advertising jobs. I lived in Dallas, and now I live in Boston most of the time. And I've always been a little bit involved in the business, but maybe for the past 7 to 10 years, even more so. And it really started when I wrote the book, Peace, Love, and Barbecue. When I would go home, I would hear all of these stories, or I would travel to events with my dad, and I knew that those were stories that needed to be captured and written down. I think the thing that's really special about Peace, Love, and Barbecue is that these men talk differently to one another than they do to a reporter. And that has really been the charm and the appeal of that book. So I really, just started working in the family business sort of part-time, and now it's about 20 hours a day.
Yeah, wow. So almost a jam-packed 24-hour wall-to-wall barbecue world. Mike Mills, obviously, as you said, your dad, widely considered to be like one of the legends when it comes to our industry of barbecue and grilling. When people list off the top people in barbecue, he's got to be at least, if not the first, one of the three mentioned out of the mouth by most folks. What's it like growing up with a father who was an icon in an industry?
Well, that's very interesting because, of course, I never really knew that until I got out into the barbecue world. And now that I'm so immersed in that world, I certainly hear it all the time. I think what's so special about my dad, is his charm. He has that very quiet charisma that people just lean forward when he speaks.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone likes to be around him. He is so incredibly knowledgeable. The thing I learn from him every day. Every time someone asks him a question, I learn something new as well. The amount of information about barbecue that's tucked away in that brain of his is really pretty astounding. I don't know. That's a difficult question to answer. It was fabulous. I think what I'm relearning over and over again, especially as I'm working on our next book, I'm trying to relearn all those lessons he tried to teach me that didn't quite take the first time.
That's funny how that happens.
And he's had to repeat numerous times, and now I'm really trying to capture those so that other people can benefit from them as well.
Amy Mills joining us here on the show. A number of places that you can find her as far as web presence is concerned. We have OnQ Consulting, which we're going to get to. That's the letter R, the letter U, OnCue, ONCUE.com. And then, of course, you have 7th Street Barbecue. You have Memphis Championship Barbecue. That's Murfreesboro, Illinois, and Las Vegas, Nevada, respectively. You segued into the book there real nicely for me, Amy. People recommend books all the time on barbecue, lots of cookbooks that are mentioned. But indeed, Peace, Love, and Barbecue, like probably your dad's name is mentioned as far as one of the best ever. This book seems to make it at the top of everybody's list. Many consider it to be one of the most important books as it relates just to barbecue in general. You did kind of tell us a little bit about the book in itself, but the impetus behind it with these stories that you thought needed to be heard. Why do you think it's done so well for so long?
Well, I do think it's the stories. There is literally not a week that goes by that I do not get an email from a man that says, I haven't read a book since high school, but I read your book cover to cover. People can certainly cook from it. It has fabulous recipes, but the stories really resonate with people. There are the highs, the lows, the background, the little tidbits that aren't really written down anywhere else. I think people feel as though they know the people in the book. And there are several people. There's a man who's an attorney in St. Louis. He travels all over the country frequently, and he will write to me or call me and say, I'm going to be in such and such town. Can you call so-and-so and see if he would meet me, make sure he's going to be at his restaurant. I want him to sign my book. People have really, they take that book around like it's a yearbook and gather signatures and, make a real collector's item. It's a very interactive book. There's so many things about it on so many levels, and I think that's the appeal.
So what's the new book going to be about? Do you give us a little scoop here on the show?
I can. I'm actually working on 2 more books, and the one book is called Praise the Lord, and it is a book. It's a little bit more. I don't really want to call it a business book. It's because it really applies to any area of life, but it's a lot of life lessons. Things I learned growing up, things I've learned from my dad in the business world, and how they translate. And it certainly will probably be, it'll be called a business book, but it will really apply to any facet of your life. And while it will be centered around the barbecue industry, it will be relevant to any type of business or life situation.
Sounds great. Amy Mills joining us here on the show. When is that going to be released out?
At this moment, it is scheduled for fall 2012.
All right, so you got a little ways yet.
Exactly.
All right, good. All right, so let's turn away from the background and what it's like to have one of the best dads ever when it comes to the world of barbecue and grilling. And let's go ahead and turn our attention first to what is, I guess, most current in a lot of people's minds in regards to Amy Mills, which was the Best in Smoke TV show. Obviously, that was even shot like almost a year ago, from what I understand, but it hit the small screen.
It was shot last August in the middle of a heat wave in New York City. It was actually shot in Liberty State Park, right out in New Jersey, right outside of the city. So we had the magnificent city as the background, but we were in New Jersey. So barbecue seems to be getting more and more attention these days. No one else knows that better than you. It's showing up on TV more and more frequently, obviously on some very big networks. Best in Smoke just finished up on the Food Network a couple weeks ago. You were one of the 3 judges. In the interest of not being seen, Amy, as hypocritical to my audience, my take on the show was that quite possibly it might have been one of the worst shows ever. It was, for me, and again, my personal opinion, was just tough to watch in a lot of respects, and some things we can talk about later in regards to that. But after seeing the finished product like everyone else did, because it's different for you because you also got to see how everything else was done originally, how do you think Food Network did with the show, and do you think it helped the industry of barbecue? Well, those are very interesting questions, and I'm certainly very proud to have been part of that show, and I don't want to, badmouth it or necessarily praise it in any way.
Let me interrupt. I'm sorry, Amy. Let me interrupt for a second, because I never ever want anybody to get the misconception that when I give a take or an opinion about a show, I am always very proud, because I've interviewed a number of the people that were on that show, when they get the chance to be on television, and it has nothing to do with them. So I just wanted to put that out there as well, because I had a feeling you were on the same track. So I'm sorry for the interruption. Sure. Go ahead.
Well, and first of all, there's a production company, sells and pitches a show to the Food Network. and then they go off, shoot the show, produce the show, and deliver it. So it's really not the Food Network per se who put together the show. It's High Noon Productions, and I've worked with them before. They've filmed several different things about Mike and 17th Street, and they are a fabulous group. I think that part of what we're responding to in the food world is this voracious appetite for reality TV, and that is certainly what this show sort of ended up being. You know, it was very much a barbecue version of Top Chef Masters or something like that, with the challenges and the eliminations, etc. I know that I started working with this group 8 months before it ever filmed. They cast a very wide net for talent and for people, you know, who wanted to be on the show. And I certainly gave them a little bit of advice along the way. For example, when I got my briefing booklet, I noticed, you know, with all the meat that they were listing and then the amount of time for each challenge, I actually called and said, you know, just so you know, you don't really have enough time to cook 7/8 of the meat you have in that locker in this amount of time for the first 3 days. And they said, oh, really? So, you know, it's a different genre. It's a whole different thing. I wish that there had been more time allotted to some of these things. Really, this could have been an 8-episode show, and you really could have gotten into a lot of the things that went on in the cooking, especially when you had 6 contestants versus 3. So many different things were happening in each kitchen that would have been fabulous to see. But, you know, a 20-hour day gets edited down to 44 minutes. You know, I've certainly have seen some of the criticism about the judging process. And not only did
we'll get there.
Talk extensive. Pardon me?
I said we'll get there.
Okay. Not only did we talk extensively about each item, you know, each of us for maybe 3 to 5 minutes. We talked as a group, we talked individually, and we went through their kitchens periodically and got to talk to them and see what we were doing. But you really only saw each person say a sentence. So there was really so many things that went on behind the scenes that, you know, that really just didn't make the screen. And that's too bad. But in the interest of time and, you know, whatever editing direction was given, that is the product that it ended up being.
Is this something that, as far as the show is concerned, have you ever done anything like this before?
No, I have not.
Were you excited at the opportunity, or just happy to kind of lend a hand and help promote barbecue?
Oh, absolutely. It was a fabulous experience, and I would do it all over again.
Now, there seemed to be a feel of the show like it was kind of, I guess for lack of a better term, whipped together. You were in that park where you had just mentioned out there in New Jersey, had the backdrop of New York City. But it felt like maybe there wasn't a lot of budget in the show for production. You had, you know, all those cooks out there in the grass, and they had stand-up refrigerators, and it did seem a little kind of thrown together. Did you get the same feeling while you were there, or is that kind of the way it came across on television, or maybe did you not think that at all?
I think that's really just the way it came across on television, because it was a huge, big-budget production. You have never seen so many people, so many cameras, so much equipment. It was really quite a production. I'm not quite sure the methodology of being in the field. I can see how that might have come across and looked a little bit strange if that was the first time that you saw it on television. But no, it was really quite a big budget production, and I think, you know, they wanted it to be outdoors because, you know, it's cooking outdoors, and they certainly could not have had any of that equipment inside.
Right.
The pits or the grills.
Amy Mills joining us here on the show. We're talking a little bit of Best in Smoke. Amy, I talked with Chris Lilly about his time on the show a couple weeks back, and he kind of intimated that when he committed to doing the show, he was told one thing, but when he showed up to actually take part, they kind of switched some things around a bit, and perhaps more than once during the taping that there were some other changes made kind of on the fly. As a judge in the show, how did the finished product differ from the actual taping? Was Chris kind of on base? Did you see any of that, or what was your take on that?
Well, I'm not quite sure what the contestants were told in advance, but, you know, I know that people had to submit recipe after recipe, they had to talk about different scenarios and how comfortable they would be in various things. So it really was not a surprise to these people that they were doing, a combination of grilling and barbecue, and that it was not simply meat, just based on the number of recipes and types of recipes that they had to submit in advance of even being chosen. So I'm not, I really can't speak to what was said and how it ended up being in the end, because I wasn't a contestant, so I'm not quite sure what they were told.
So were you on site for everything that was happening, or were you brought in at certain periods?
We were there the whole time. The bus would pick us up at 4:30 in the morning, and we would get home around midnight.
All right. So what are some of the best things that happened that never made it to air that you really enjoyed the most?
Oh my goodness, there were so many things.
Let me rephrase it.
I don't know if I can pull those right out of the air. And a lot of things, I really saw as I was watching the show. One of the most fun things about this was, for the first show airing, I had a party in New York, and about half the cast came. So we were all there watching that together, and alternately cringing and cheering, and it was kind of like a summer camp reunion, and that was really fun. And so none of us really got to see the full show because we were too busy talking and reminiscing through the whole thing. And then for the third episode, I actually went to Minneapolis and watched at Famous Dave's house. He had a giant party that was so fabulous. So again, I have not really watched the third and fourth episodes by myself so that I can really critique them and relive it and think about what happened and what didn't happen.
How would you characterize the other two judges you had? I forget their names, but you had the guy that's from James Beard House, and then is it Mr. Love? I want to say Kevin Love, but that's a basketball player.
Tim Love.
Tim Love, right.
Mitchell Davis, who is a vice president at the James Beard House, has a PhD in food science. He has this wonderful book called Kitchen Sense, and he is probably one of the smartest people I know about food. He did not really know, and he would tell you this very honestly, he did not have really any barbecue experience. And in fact, at one point, I think that maybe I was dismissed a little bit. I was the girl. And after a couple of comments and a few things that happened, Mitchell looked at me and said, "Wow, you know so much, and it's all in such a surprising package." One thing that I can tell you three things I wish that they would have shown. The very first challenge was ribs, and some of the ribs came cut. One of the ribs, which was actually from Brad Orson at the Shed, he gave us each 3 bones that were still connected. Mm-hmm. And those two picked up the 3 bones and took a bite with bones all still connected. But I tore the ribs to see how tender they were and how they pulled apart. And then I took the bite. And when I did that, I was sitting next to Mitchell, and I could see him think, oh, maybe she does know. And I explained why I was doing that in the judging process. And unfortunately, none of that really made the screen. There was a point with Chris Hart's chicken, and I'll let him speak to really what happened with that chicken. But there, I was explaining to people, these are people who are looking for some grilled chicken that you would have in your backyard, and what he turned in was a very masterful rendition of some award-winning competition chicken, and they did not like that very much. And so I kind of gave a little not history, but I just gave a little talk about, what this was and, how tastes are varying in America, and that competition chicken is not necessarily what you serve in your backyard. And unfortunately, that didn't make the screen. So there were lots of little things that I tried to talk about, and people really liked and appreciated that during the filming, but they, were obviously not relevant or, were somehow left on the editing room floor.
Of course. How convenient. Amy Mills joining us. Why do they have a guy like Mitchell Davis on? Because of the pedigree and, the background, so you can give, I guess, I hate to say more of an educated, judging critique, because obviously you've been around a billion more competitions and tasted a billion times more competition barbecue than he. This was a competition for barbecue, so why?
But you have to remember that this show was not meant to appeal to or to be about competition barbecue. And I think that is what, that people are missing here. This was a show that was meant to appeal to a very wide audience. There was a combination of grilling, there was barbecue, there were all kinds of cooking challenges in this show. And I think that they really tried to have a wide variety of judges, to appeal to many people across the country.
Doesn't it not, when you take these great guys that have, and gals, guys that made their name in the barbecue community, in competition barbecue, isn't it like you're taking baseball players and telling them to go play basketball or vice versa, when you're basically 9/10 of the stuff that they were doing really had nothing to do with what they do on a weekend in, weekend out basis?
I would agree with that, but yet they all signed up, didn't they?
Yes, they sure did. Probably they were all racing to the line.
How many people have called and emailed me in the past 6 weeks to say, if this happens again, I want in.
Yeah, of course.
So, yeah, exactly, right? Most of these people are restaurateurs. They're really not just the weekend warriors who were on this show. Sarah Horowitz, I was really disappointed to see her be the first out, because she is an incredibly talented girl, and you did not really get to see at all what she is capable of.
Is she really, Amy? Is she really?
She really is.
I really have a hard time believing that. I want to believe it, but and maybe it's because she's already been through one reality TV show, so you get that moniker or stigma.
Well, she's actually been through 2 reality TV shows. She's a French-trained chef. She has a catering company. She's had all kinds of different, food experiences. She came in second on John Marcus's second season of the barbecue show that he did.
So she's got chops.
She's got chops.
All right, so I need to lay off.
And unfortunately, her pineapple, when you grill pineapple and then you skewer it with resinous rosemary, I think there was some sort of chemical reaction that happened with that pineapple that was just not good.
Yeah. And there you go. That's your downfall right there.
It was just very unfortunate. But the salmon that she prepared, killer. Totally killer.
We're talking with Amy Mills about Best in Smoke. So, I mean, if it came back on, just some changes that you would like to see made, in your opinion?
Well, that would really not be up to me, and so I'm going to refrain from answering that. I would certainly, I certainly wish that there would be more time for you to really see some of the things that went on, because the challenges were fascinating. Watching people work through what they had to work with in each distinct opportunity, and watching the creativity and the skill level that came out, was really very impressive. And I'm sorry that didn't really come across due to time constraints.
Amy, did you watch any of the Ultimate Barbecue Showdown that was a couple weekends ago? The John Marcus effort?
Yes, I did.
All right, so compared to your show, how do you think that one went? Obviously, yours was a 4-week span. This was a 1-hour show on CBS. But, comparing, contrasting, what did you like, what didn't you like?
Well, I thought it was I think it's apples and oranges, but I thought it was a fabulous show.
All right, so here's the question that I need to ask you, and I'll really appreciate your insight on this. For as long as I've had this show being live, I've been a very big proponent of getting competition barbecue on television because, and maybe I'm myopic in that sense, but I think it can be very compelling and kind of shown by the first season of Barbecue Pitmasters, which many people kind of slammed and gave it a little bit of a, this really shouldn't be it. But after other efforts, wildly drove back to season 1 being the end-all be-all of how things should be. But I've kind of been telling myself more and more, perhaps I'm convincing myself more and more that as much as I love it and as much as I see these competitors and they're accessible and I get to talk to them all the time and we see standings change every so often, is competition barbecue just kind of not that sport made for what will be compelling TV?
I'm not really sure. I mean, bass fishing is on TV and has been for a long, long time, right? So I don't know. I think there's an audience for everything, and I'm not sure I'm the most intelligent person to ask to ask that question. I just got a TV for the first time about 6 months ago. I haven't had TV for 10 years in my home. So I have no idea what's going on out there in the world of TV.
Well, it's all reality television, and TV is rapidly coming to a decline, and even John Marcus admitted to it. But nevertheless, all right, so let's get out of the television portion for now. Let's kind of turn to the business side of barbecue. And again, we're talking with Amy Mills. Some interest that she has, On Cue Consulting, which we're going to be talking about here in just a second. 17th Street Barbecue in Murfreesboro, Illinois. Memphis Championship Barbecue in Las Vegas, Nevada. You can follow her on Twitter, by the way, at 17th Street BBQ. She's always got some great updates and great pictures, which I appreciate the most, Amy.
Thank you.
For the people who don't know about On Cue and what you're doing there, give us a little bit about the vision of the company and what services you are offering to prospective clients.
Okay. On Cue is my brainchild that I came up with about 2.5 years ago. And we have so many people who make this trek to Murfreesboro. And it is not easy to get there. We are 2 hours south of St. Louis or 3 hours north of Nashville or Memphis. So we are really in the middle of nowhere and pretty far from a major metropolitan airport. But people come from all over the world, and they just want to spend time at 17th Street. And my dad will spend time with anybody and almost as much time as they want if he's available. But I could see that there was a need to really formalize that a little bit because I need him to do some other work. And so I came up with the idea of having these classes and letting people come in, kind of peek behind the iron curtain, see what it is that we do. And it's called the Business of Barbecue. It's a 2-day event. We actually start off with a little cocktail party in our Marion, Illinois store, which is 22 miles from Murfreesboro. So people get to see a restaurant that we built from the ground up. And then we spend the next 2 days in Murfreesboro in our warehouse facility, which is really a pretty unique arrangement. We cook the 4 different meats, ribs, brisket, chicken, and pork butts. And we talk about cooking those things for production, so for a restaurant or a catering operation. And interspersed with our time in the kitchen, I have little mini seminars on branding, marketing, PR, catering, sales, and vending. So it's one thing to be able to cook, and a lot of people are kind of coming in this through the competition route. They do really well. People down the street want them to start catering, or they think they want to start a restaurant, but they really don't know how to translate that to food, to producing and feeding the masses. And of course, then you can have the most fabulous barbecue in the world, but if you don't know how to brand it, market it, and sell it, you're not going to be in business very long. Also, so people come to those classes. We've had over 220 people come to those classes in the past 2.5 years. And that includes some of the classes that we have at Old Hickory Pits, which are a one-day program, usually the Saturday before Business of Barbecue, and many people will come to both of those events. And that's really more about using the Old Hickory Pits and, again, cooking all those different meats. And it's an opportunity for people to be in that facility and kind of see what they have to offer and try out those pits before they buy. So it has been fabulous, and people want more and more. So I've come up with these master classes, and I have guest speakers and instructors at those classes, Tuffy Stone and his wife Leslie, who are just incredibly knowledgeable about catering, and Don Delfa, who was Chris Hart's partner on Best in Smoke. He has a restaurant called Delta Cow Bistro in Essex Junction, Vermont. He is one of the most talented chefs I have ever come across. They come and help with those classes. So we'll have another one of those in January. But the business classes, have been very successful. People will then, can hire me for a day or two to talk, more deeply about certain subjects. I've gone off to places and helped people choose locations. I've helped people with their logos and their website, their marketing plans, developing flavor profiles, sauces and dry rubs, and getting those manufactured. So really, anything pertaining to the business of barbecue, we can help you out.
All right, so I'm going to backtrack here a little bit, and we're talking with Amy Mills from On Cue. One of the things, and you alluded to this just a little bit ago, one of the things I hear all the time, Amy, is I get this question at least half a dozen times during the course of the week, emailed to me, and I have no idea why they're asking me, but a guy gets into cooking some barbecue in the backyard. He kind of refines his skill a little bit. He lets his neighbors and family eat it, and they just heap all kinds of praise on him. Maybe he has a little feeling of extra competition, so he hits the circuit for a little bit, has some success there. Inevitably, his group of influence tries to get him to open a barbecue restaurant. Maybe one of the worst ideas ever, but what are some of the most important items that one needs to take into account if they're even entertaining the idea of opening up their own barbecue joint?
Well, you really have to be funded. And a part of what we do at Business of Barbecue is go through very carefully some financial details and talk to people about the realities of being in this business. Because if you don't have the money, if you don't have the funds, you're not going to be in business very long. You're going to have highs and you're going to have lows. And people see these very successful barbecue restaurants. It is more popular. You're seeing people on TV. You're reading about them all the time. But nobody understands the amount of work that goes into that. And, 17th Street is a shining example. It took us 26 years to get where we are. And we have had as many hard times as we have had good times. But people don't always see. They don't see the hard times. So you really have to be a marketer. It's not enough to just be able to cook the food. You have to be able to serve it hot and appropriately and know how to hold it, and you have to know how to market that.
I think a lot of us, it's safe to say, I'm speaking on behalf at least of the Centralites, a lot of us are barbecue snobs. We think that our stuff is the best, and when we hit a barbecue restaurant, it seems very few will really hit the mark with us. We're always panning them along the way. Why do you think that is, and how can you provide good, consistent barbecue each and every time, but more importantly, to each and every customer?
Well, you can't. I mean, we falter. Everybody falters all the time. We are snobs, and I really have come full circle into thinking, you know what, it's all good. Every barbecue out there is somebody's favorite barbecue. Even bad barbecue is better than McDonald's most of the time.
Right.
And so much about barbecue is the whole experience. There are places, who are wildly popular and get so much press. And it's not the best barbecue I ever ate, but I love the people. I love the experience of being in that restaurant. And, I keep going back on my travels or wherever. So, we can all pick up that most recent edition of Savour and look and see who's featured in there. And there will be 10 people who say, I ate there and it wasn't that good. Well, you might have had an off day. It may not be to your taste. That's the beauty of barbecue. There is something out there that everybody will think that this is the best I've ever had. My dad will like to say, and this is in our book, if you can come in, barbecue is really about a memory. The first barbecue you cut your teeth on, that is your favorite barbecue. Mm-hmm. And if we can come in second or third to someone's memory, or someone says, this takes me home, or it reminds me of my dad or my grandfather or that great place I used to eat growing up, then I think we've done our job.
Amy Mills joining us here, and we're talking about OnCue Consulting. That can be found online, by the way, if you're interested in reaching out to Amy and getting a little bit of insight on what it's all about. R, the letter, U, the letter, OnCue, ONCUE, RUOnCue.com is the website. Amy, you're also very big into social media and the branding. Sometimes barbecue folks get lumped into that being good old boys and they're not up to speed on all the technology, which might be true. This is something that people really need to get proficient at in order to help them grow and spread the word. Let's face it, the internet isn't going away anytime soon now, right?
I agree. I think actually there's a very vibrant online barbecue community, and maybe the only advice that I would have for that group is to really study the people who are having success, not only within our industry, but within other industries, and look at what is making them successful online. People who just incessantly tweet about themselves or, tweet their press release 30 times in a 2-hour period. People who don't converse with other people or join in the conversation or have anything of interest to say, those people will feel left out of the conversation. I think the real key to this all is to interact with other people. That's the social part.
Do you guys give classes on the whole social media aspect as well?
That's part of what we do at Business of Barbecue. We cover that pretty briefly in an overview, but one of the master classes that I'm putting together for this fall is a giant marketing class that will certainly include social media, and I have some pretty interesting guest speakers who will be part of that as well. And I hope that I will be able to start promoting that in July. It's very difficult to find an open date right now.
Well, when you have it booked down, more than happy to have you back on the show to promote it. So for anything else you have interests that you're involved in, what else would you like to promote tonight? The floor is yours, because I certainly appreciate all the time you've given me tonight.
Oh, well, you're so kind. I don't really have I feel like I've talked about everything that I have or, that I'm involved in to promote. I would love for people to come to our events. One thing that I could promote, we haven't talked about, is our barbecue cook-off. We have a cook-off every September called Praise the Lard. This is our 24th year, and maybe 4 years ago, we became a dual-sanctioned contest. So it's an MBN/KCBS sanctioned event. We have just a fabulous little slice of Americana. We have all this space across from our facility. We shut down the street. We have a band and a stage and a big street party, and we have events that draw our whole town, or really our whole region in. Teams come from about 14 states. We have judges from New York to California who fly in for the weekend. It's a really special event. And right now, I think we have been full for judges for quite some time, and we are about maybe half full on our teams at this moment. So, anybody who's not busy on the third week of September, it's the 22nd to 24th, we would certainly love to see some new faces, and welcome some new friends to Murfreesboro.
How did people like the fact that you've gone and done a dual competition? Do they like cooking both, or do you get a lot of people cooking one and a lot of people cooking the other?
People love it, and it's something that we are really proud of. I think that we've exposed both groups of people to something new. We have Randy Twyford, who was a staunch KCBSer, won ribs in our contest. He cooked at Memphis in May this year, first time out, and got 5th place. That is huge. Tuffy Stone actually was introduced to MBN cooking at our contest during the first Pitmasters filming. Their second episode was actually filmed in Murfreesboro. And I remember, talking to John Marcus about our show and about our contest and how, this would be really neat because this was really going to be the only MBN contest that they went to. And I felt really strongly that they should have to cook in both of the contests. I think, my dad will say this is what's going to separate the men from the boys if you can cross the spectrum here. And they did end up having to cook at least one category, and most of them chose ribs. I loved that Leanne Whippen cooked too. She actually did a hog, and we got her a pit. She did a hog, and she did ribs. And, then Tuffy went to Memphis in May and won first place shoulder, first time there. So that was his second MBN contest. So I think it's fabulous that it's exposing people to both arenas. And likewise, where we had always been just an MBN contest, some of our old line teams have jumped in the fray and are experimenting on the KCBS side of things.
Absolutely, and that's the third week of September. Praise the Lard, and that's in Murfreesboro, Illinois, as Amy said, right in the middle of nowhere. So if you happen to be around there, stop in. And do you get a lot of foot traffic around there, too? A lot of spectators and stuff?
We do. We're also a stop on the Great American Barbecue Tour. They came for the first time last year and loved it. We are part of the Kingsford Points Chase, and we will be having also the Reese's Potato Salad Contest as part of our event this year as well. So everything extra, that KCBS has to offer right now, we are part of that and really excited about that. And, that tour, we feel really honored that they have chosen to come back. We're probably one of the smaller stops. We maybe have, 8,000 to 10,000 people coming through, and they can go somewhere like Reno with 750,000 or Walk Party with 140,000 people. But I think that they feel, too, that it's really quality over quantity. And people are so welcoming. It's just such a slice of Americana. It's just really a sweet time.
Amy Mills was on Best in Smoke as a judge. She's also running On Cue Consulting. By the way, stop in and eat at the 17th Street Barbecue Restaurant there in Murfreesboro, Illinois, or if you happen to be in Vegas at the Memphis Championship Barbecue Restaurant. Amy, I really appreciate all of the time and especially all of the conversation tonight. Thanks for coming on the show. I appreciate it.
Well, I appreciate you thinking of me. It was my pleasure. Thank you.
All right. Take care. There she is. It's Amy Mills. Wow, huge. 47 minutes and worth every penny. It's long been a secret thought of mine that I should be charging you punks for such great entertainment. Yeah, break out the wallet. Break out the wallet. All right, so you guys were having a contest in the chat, and I believe Patrick was the one that made the contest. Guess what, Patrick? You just won your own glaze, I think that was, because you said the toss the salad contest. Nothing better than that phrase ever. Toss the salad. That's right. Can never. Sorry. That was Amy Mills. Let me give you, again, some website information for her. Lots of stuff that we covered. Her background. We talked about the Best in Smoke TV show, which I don't care is still one of the worst TV shows ever on the face of the earth. And as much as I want to give Sarah Horowitz props for being a good cook, I just don't care. I don't care. Get off my reality TV show. Reality TV. I better back down a little bit. I'm sorry. I'm just not a fan. I don't care if you can cook or not. I bet I can cook better barbecue than you. I don't care. Come and see me in Cleveland. We'll go mano a mano. And guess what? Guess what? I'm going to come out on top. Coming out on top in the barbecue competition. Never mind. Oh, my God, that went somewhere really weird. We also talked about little bit of the Ultimate Barbecue Showdown, because it's a totally different show. And then we talked about her business On Cue. R the letter, U the letter, RUOnQ.com is the website for her. I believe it's 17th Street BBQ.com, and you can also link over to Memphis Championship Barbecue if you want, from the 17th Street Barbecue as well. So many thanks to Amy Mills. And again, follow her on the Twitter as 17th Street, that's 17th, 17th Street BBQ. She's got a lot of great tweets. She follows a lot of cool people, and she retweets them. That can kind of build your following, potentially, if you have anything worthwhile to say, unlike Hux Hut, who has nothing at all to bring to Twitter. People are unfollowing him and unfriending him left and right, but he's learning. Be patient with him. He's learning. What was I going to say? I don't remember. So be sure to follow her on Twitter, and you'll be happy that you did. Bringing a lot of cool information there. And that is Amy Mills from On Cue Consulting. All right, let's go ahead and do this. I told you there was going to be prizes tonight, and we have two prizes, so you just need to dial in at 877-448-0433. 877-448-0433. Is a number to call. It's toll-free. It's my dime. I'm paying for it. So at least you could do is participate in the part where I give you free stuff. No, I'm not going to be asking you questions or anything crazy like that. You just need to tell me what you learned tonight on the show. It's called What Did You Know? What Did You Know? What'd you learn? Know the show. I'm not going to ask you any questions. You can also email the show, Greg at thebbqcentralshow.com. Email in from Craig Goldwyn. We call him Meathead, who'll be on next week. Fist fighting me over the email about. Let me recount this for you guys. Craig writing. So I'm listening to the podcast of the 524 broadcast, and I hear you want to try this method and do chicken in true barbecue fashion, in quotations. Yes, those were your exact words. So let me get this straight. If I buy thighs only, remove the most of the skin, scrape off the fat, put it back on, poach it in butter or margarine, yuck, grill it on briquettes at 275 on one side, grill it on the other side, paint it lightly with sauce, and call this true barbecue fashion. If that's true barbecue fashion, why is it not true barbecue fashion to take a hot dog, put it on the grill, and serve it? Just what the fusk is your definition of barbecue or KCBS's definition of barbecue? I have no definition. My definition is if it's hot, if it's over 300 degrees or 350 degrees, it's grilling. That's my definition. Meathead. What's my definition of barbecue? It's between 200 and 200 or 350 degrees, because a lot of people at competitions cook. True barbecue is between 200 to 250 degrees. So if we're going to go ahead and pick nit, fella. And then I just replied back to him that I was referring to the chicken recipe that Malcolm Reed had given me, being in the competition sense. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. And he said, well, I wanted to try it in true competition-style chicken, but you said true barbecue fashion, and the Barbecue Dictionary police are listening. Sorry. Sorry, I misspoke. No, I did not try Malcolm's chicken. So, Meathead, we can talk about it if you want to. We can talk about it if you want to next week. You can take me to task. You can call me on the carpet. I'm more than adept and willing to share my opinion, as it were. 877-448-0433. 877-448-0433. What do you want to win? Well, let me tell you. You could win a Yoder Smoky Mountain Barbecue apron that has their logo on the front, but then there's all assorted sauces and rubs as well from what was a longtime sponsor of the show, Yoder Smoky Mountain Barbecue. Series BBQS, SeriesBBQs.com is their email address. By the way, I don't know why I'm just thinking about this, but I want to give a special mention to one of the DEA elite, Brian Dobb, listening to the show live tonight. Brian, appreciate you keeping our country safe, brother. And I always appreciate you turning into the show. Brian, one of the biggest promoters of the show ever. He flies a Barbecue Central radio show banner at Hoos Barbecue's website, Hoos Barbecue's competition site. And he continues to spread the gospel of what has to be one of our very last shows on internet radio, because soon enough we have to be going to broadcast terrestrial syndication across the country. It's got to happen soon. It's got to happen soon. Really? Really? 877-448-0433. Again, we have the Yoder Smoky Mountain Barbecue. What is it? It's the, what do you call this thing? Apron. And then there's also going to be assorted sauces and rubs. And then we also have Andy from Rooftop Barbecue is going to be giving away his competition-style sauce as well. FYI, Jeff Stith weighing in. They have a problem with the donation link on Operation Barbecue Relief's website. It's not working right now. It was not working, but now it's been fixed. So Operation BBQ. Oh, hold on a second. I just want to make sure I'm saying. Operation Barbecue BBQRelief.org. OperationBBQRelief.org. If you want to donate, that link is up and working now. So please make time. If you're not going to go ahead and donate your own time and resources, if you could donate a couple bucks, every little bit helps, believe it or not. So OperationBBQRelief.org. Where can you get a Radio Central banner? Well, I'll send you some artwork, and then I can direct you into the place to get it. I forget what it was called, Build a Sign or something like that. It's like so cheap you wouldn't believe it. So cheap you wouldn't believe it. Patrick, email me, Greg at thebbqcentralshow.com, and I will be more than happy to get you in the right direction. That way you can fly it up. All right. Nobody's going to be calling in, so here we go. First one on the chat that tells me something they learned on the show tonight. It gets the Yoder Smoky Mountain Barbecue, the apron. You also get rubs and sauces as well. You got to hurry. I'm going to end on time tonight, Kevin. I swear to God I'm going to end on time. Right at the top. Here we go. Amy Mills lives in Boston. Patrick wins Yoder Smoky Mountain. Following up in second place, Shane Draper with Sarah Sucks. All right. Patrick and Shane. Patrick, you email me, Greg at thebbqcentralshow.com. Greg at thebbqcentralshow.com. Shane, you also do it as well. Patrick, you get the Yoder's Smoky Mountain Barbecue prize pack, which includes aprons and sauces and rubs. And Shane will get Rooftop Barbecue's competition-style sauce. So you'll be able to compare that to what you have going on right now, right? That's something you probably like to do, Shane. You like to do – that's what we in the sales business, Shane, call a little market research. We like to buy up some other people's stuff and give a little tasty taste, a little sniffy sniff, see what it's all about. Remember that if you smell liquid smoke, immediately throw it outside against some type of brick wall or cement walkway and run away from it at all costs. Get away from it as quickly as freaking possible, because liquid smoke is devil's juice. It's devil's juice. You guys email me, Greg at thebbqcentralshow.com. We'll get you hooked up. Patrick getting the Yoders. Shane getting the Rooftop. Rooftop? Rooftop was the name of a BMX guy. Never mind. Nobody's a BMX guy like I used to be. Does anybody remember the Harry Larry Turbo edition of Mongoose BMX bikes? Oh, yeah, baby. I remember. Had one. All the way back in the first hour in the first segment when I came on late because I worked, Heath Hall called me. And we talked about Q. QUE, the first fragrance for barbecuers. That's me and you, by the way, mister. Great Father's Day gift. Order yourself up some. You can be like me. I ordered the very first bottle. Actually, you can't be like me because I ordered the very first bottle. I remember Rad Huck. PorkBarrelBBQ.com. And then you can link over to Q and buy it. It's $25 or whatever it is. You'll love it. Smell like sweet, sweet smoke and urine. Wait, not urine. Sweet smoke and sweat, I mean. Same thing, whatever. Also, thanks to Jeff Stiff, OperationBBQRelief.org. Donate. Jeff Stiff, man. Stan Hayes, man. And everybody that took place at Joplin, thank you very much for doing that. Respect. And thanks to my second hour guest, Amy Mills, ruonq.com. All these links will be in the post show notes. We have a huge show next week already. Meathead is going to come in. We're going to fist fight on the air. God damn it, that's right. Me and you. We're going to fist fight. I'm going to win. I'll hang up on you. So until next Tuesday at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, this is your program host and proud U.S. American, Greg Rempe. Say it with me. Good night now.